I mean, this is pretty hypocritical that they haven't let reporters in as they pledge transparency. The COVID hiding behind, I'll say, this is my personal opinion, hiding behind COVID restrictions I don't think is fair, and I don't think is honest. When they've pledged transparency, we know that we can get into these we can cover people with, you know, in the midst of COVID. We have been.
This country has a problem with arrogance, John, and you're seeing it in spades when we're dealing with these violent crimes.
Republicans and Democrats said, look, if you're going to change the Trump policy, the previous policy, at least have a game plan. And there doesn't appear right now to be a game plan.
Well, okay, look, it's a huge problem. Yeah. I'm not going to pretend it's not. It's a huge problem.
You don't stop drunk drivers by getting rid of all sober drivers, which is what many of my Democratic friends want to do with respect to the Second Amendment. In my judgment, we do not need more gun control. We need more idiot control.
That was Senator John Kennedy. And, yes, a pretty good line. He's got all sorts of good lines. One of my favorite guys, mine blue guy. Hold on, I'm going to reach out right now to Sally Shattuck. And your orange guy, Cyril. And I'm going to see if I can get some help.
He's doing a puzzle right now.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, I think he's
I thought we
good
needed reinforcements here.
He's okay right now.
Because we were under siege, but I think we're fine. I like your puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, the border thing is still in the news. Gun control now is in the news. We're back in the news. And it sounds just like it used to sound just a few years ago. Every time there's a mass shooting event, the politicians do what they can to immediately politicize it, and sometimes, in this case, Democrats have really kind of declawed themselves when it comes to this particular effort to enact some kind of gun control, I think. And I think it was succinctly put by Mr. Greg Gutfeld on the 5.
The Democrats have painted themselves into a corner that they can't get out of. You've demonized the police, which creates the Ferguson effect, right? The Ferguson effect drives up gun sales because people see their only recourse is self-protection. So as you demonize law enforcement, all you do is drive people towards buying guns. So that, in terms of gun control, you can talk about it all you want. That ship has sailed. Gun control died once the Democrats sided with the rioters over citizens.
All right, he is right on. He is right on with that. There's no doubt about that. The entire move to defund the police set into motion really well, actually, at the beginning of COVID, there was a run on guns and ammo, and now it's even more so. For us, we're near the New Hampshire border. We had been told by a gun enthusiast that they were just out of everything for months, and they maybe still are.
The price of ammo is like crazy high right now.
Yeah. Why is that not gouging?
You think the people who are into anti-price gouging laws care if people can't buy ammo?
No, I would think that gun users would not want to get ripped off, and that seems like it's...
Well, most gun users are people who understand supply and demand. You know, that when there's less of something,
yeah, but you still don't want to get screwed.
Yeah, but you're not getting screwed. You're paying the price that the asset is worth right now because demand is outstripping supply. More people want to buy more ammo than manufacturers are able to provide right now. So price gouging, quote unquote, is really just a price mechanism in order to prioritize people who really, really want it badly being able to buy it. Actually, I forgot if we talked about this. Did you see there was a study out about price gouging at the beginning of the pandemic?
Yeah, and that it was good. The price gouging was healthy in a sense.
Yeah, so basically what they found is that in states that enacted anti-price gouging laws, more people were out in more stores trying to find stuff to buy because the anti-price gouging laws meant that stuff ran out quicker more places. So what they did basically is they tracked they used cell phone location data to see, how many people were out and about in stores in different states. And what they found is that the anti-price gouging laws caused much more interaction in stores in the early days of the pandemic, and probably drove about 25% of the early spread and deaths in the beginning of the pandemic, because it caused so many people to be in close proximity in stores before masks were a thing.
I don't think that we can accurately predict behavior of people if toilet paper was $150 per dozen. I don't know what would have happened. I know that,
you have states
that this
where
has
they
been
didn't
a
have
calendar year with a healthy, robust amount of looting.
Well, maybe we can get the economist on who wrote the paper, and we can see what he says. But I believe that there are some states where there were not price gouging laws and some states where there were, and they were able to find that there was a statistically significant difference between them.
Interesting. I still am surprised that the gun people would pay more for stuff, but I'm
they
fine.
really want it.
I'm fine. I've married to Alice Friedman, and I understand that I will take a back seat. I will listen. I will shut up and see you and hear you on this stuff, because you're smarter than I am on it. But you know who's just as smart as me, Alice?
Who's just as smart as you?
Alison Camerata, who has a great idea. Speaking of guns and ammo, who has a brilliant and innovative idea on how we can make sure that psychos don't get their paws on guns anymore.
Good, I'm excited to hear it.
In terms of making change, since it seems intractable at the national level, why don't we go to gun shop owners and say, do you think that this 21-year-old who comes in and wants an AR-15 style weapon, do you think that he looks like he's going hunting with this weapon? Did you ask him, by the way, do you ever think that people are chasing you? Do you ever hear voices saying that people are coming for you?
Why not install couches in the gun stores, have the person lie down, give them Rorschach tests, ask him, how their upbringing was, whether or not he was breastfed, if he feels that
You know what? Racially profile them a little bit, too. Do you seem like the type of person who's going hunting? I don't know. You look more like a terrorist attack kind of person.
Ooh.
Do they ever ask questions like that? Because this guy, it sounds like, according to his family, would have answered yes.
Like Hank Hurwitz's old guns and ammo depot. I got a few questions for you about your emotional state. Like, maybe it's a good idea, Allison. It was you try it first, though.
The short answer is, in our society, we don't ask those questions.
The short answer is, what the hell are you talking about?
Asha, how about that? I mean, how onerous would it be to have a gun shop owner just say, by the way, are you hearing voices? Do you ever hear anybody?
I just can picture them all walking, the entire Allison Camerata and the entire production crew, and they're all in their 20s or something, and her saying, you know what, I'm going to pose the question to them. Why can't the gun shop owners act like shrinks and scan these people emotionally for cracks? And her little milky assistant saying, oh, my God, that's such a great idea, Allison. Let's totally do it.
Do you think people are chasing you? Do you think everybody's watching you? I mean,
Do you believe Trump won the election?
It would have weeded out, possibly, this guy.
Well, Allison, I completely agree with the concerns that you're mentioning, but based on the law, even asking those questions wouldn't allow a buyer to prevent the purchase.
Good for that guest for even not just standing up and leaving after the question was asked, for at least humoring Camerata with a real answer.
Well, right. And the gun shop owner can't really do that, obviously.
Right.
But the people that can do that, in particular in the state of Colorado, where there are red flag laws, is his family could have done this. His family could have prevented him from doing this because they could have utilized the state's existing red flag law without anybody passing any new laws.
Well, those are they certainly could have sounded the alarm. These red flag laws in most states are pretty damn difficult for cops and local law enforcement to follow up on. They keep having to go, work with judges and make sure they have really robust warrants, etc. And so they are tough, but you're right. His family could have, but
right, since his brother's apparently saying, "Oh yeah, we all knew he had mental issues and he was, thought people were after him."
Yeah,
if you all knew that, maybe get a little something on the record in the system.
But also the guy's a little bit cagey, a little bit, and I think most mass shooters on their way when they're going to purchase the device they intend to blow away dozens of people with, probably are willing to lie to the person who's going to sell it to them.
Possibly.
Are you hearing voices? No, absolutely not. What voices? No, not at all. You don't intend to massacre with, do you? My God, how could you even...
Meanwhile, the voices are saying, don't tell them anything.
I'll never dignify that question. My good man, certainly not. But anyway, I'm glad to know that there are some people out there with really dumb ideas. But what was the other thing? Oh yeah, also on CNN, Phil Mudd. This cut is more about bad guests trying to have hot viral takes and not delivering you substantive answers than anything. This is John Berman, who has this Phil Mudd on. Phil Mudd does something for CNN or is on CNN, whatever it is. So Berman puts a question to him, and you watch this guest use this opportunity of a minute or whatever it is to completely try to showboat and make themselves into a viral success at the expense of quality TV.
Suspected someone was behind him. Someone was chasing him. We kept a close eye on him when he was in high school. He would say, someone is chasing me, someone is investigating me. And we're like, come on, man, there's nothing. He was just closing into himself. So if you hear that and you're investigating this, what do you think? What do you do?
Boy, I have two views. The first is, be careful. Do we want people who are friends or family calling federal authorities or state authorities and saying my friend or family shouldn't have a weapon? How are you supposed to investigate this at the state and local or the federal level? That's, there's three.
We just talked about how there's red flag rules. The feds can send the FBI to investigate. So already Phil Mudd's stupid, but he doesn't want to answer this question. He wants to get to his cool, unique take.
330 million people. I think people who say that are saying things that are appropriate, but there's a simpler answer. Look, this will offend you. I'm an American. I'm a proud American, but we live in the United States of arrogance. If you look at educational standards in this country, they are mediocre because we cannot look to Asia and Europe and say somebody has a better way. If you look at access to health care in this country, we are mediocre because we cannot look to Asia and Europe and say other people have better access. We should learn. If you look at violent crime and suicide by weapon, and you look at Asia and Europe, we simply look at America and say we're exceptional. We cannot look at other countries and say we can learn. This country has a problem with arrogance, John, and you're seeing it in spades when we're dealing with these violent crimes.
Thanks for nothing, Phil. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that was really relevant to the question at hand, which is how do you keep one crazy person from getting a weapon?
Thanks for trying out for CNN, Phil. That was unhelpful, and goodbye. It's bad TV. It's a day of bad TV is what it is, Alice Shattuck. What bad TV should we get to next? Well, actually, there was some okay TV, too. I can tell you some of the most controversial TV was Meghan McCain. Who is, so the backstory in this we talked about yesterday, right? Tammy Duckworth and one of the squad.
Mazie Hirono.
And they're mad at, right, that's right.
There's not
Since
enough...
the Asian massacre happened, based on hate of Asians, they're now, every hire in the Biden White House now needs to be Asian or LGBT.
Well, a minority or LGBT.
Okay,
but they're upset that there's no AAPI representation in the cabinet.
Okay, so that's where we are right now. And
but I think they did eventually back down from this stance.
Yes, but then they said they were upset as well that the White House said to them, hey, you've Kamala Harris. She's Asian. So Meghan McCain went in there, and she has concerns about this type of thinking.
Excluded women farmers, and so we're going to a place where even if people need money, even if people are qualified to get into Ivy Leagues, race and gender is more important than your skill qualifications, the content of your character. It is not what Martin Luther King Jr. preached. I think this is a very, very slippery slope. I was very surprised to hear someone like Tammy Duckworth say something like this. She got a lot of blowback from a lot of people, not just on the right. And I think this is actually just the natural progression of identity politics. And I will say, just to put a cap on this, The View is 25 years old next year. We've only had one Asian American co-host this show. So does that mean that one of us should be leaving at some point because there's not enough representation? We're talking about, is identity politics more important than qualifications of a job? And I think that's a question going forward that the progressive left is going to have to reconcile.
Thoughts?
I mean, she's right. She's also getting hit by people who are saying, what exactly does Meghan McCain think her really incredible qualifications are to be on The View?
The View is not a high-minded program. If anything, it is not doing favors for misperceptions about women.
Isn't being slightly dumb a major important qualification that you need to be on The View?
I would say it is encouraged, yes. So, our last bit of, this is a good bit of video here, is, okay. Is John Kennedy from Louisiana, the senator. You heard, we just played this, you heard it. It's a good line here, so why not?
You don't stop drunk drivers by getting rid of all sober drivers, which is what many of my Democratic friends want to do with respect to the Second Amendment. In my judgment, we do not need more gun control. We need more idiot control.
Here, 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 here. The great John Kennedy. I really wish his middle name was Fitzgerald. Wouldn't that just be...
It would be very confusing.
It would be very offensive to many people. So, the stuff at the border continues to be a problem as well. The administration is being cute. They've come out with a plan today to launch comic book shows and buy Facebook ads in Central America saying don't come, and Twitter ads and all sorts of things.
Well, they've also put someone new in charge of the border situation. Did you see this?
Oh, yes.
Kamala
right.
is now in charge of the border, which Biden must hate her for some reason. She must already be super annoying.
I think this may be one of the reasons.
Let's take a look at what's happening at the border. Rightly or wrongly, people are coming in record numbers because they believe the Biden administration has encouraged certainly children to come. What are you going to do about that? It's chaotic. Some are calling it a crisis. And your team is under fire because both Republicans and Democrats said, look, if you're going to change the Trump policy, the previous policy, at least have a game plan. And there doesn't appear right now to be a game plan.
Well, okay, look, it's a huge problem. Yeah. I'm not going to pretend it's not. It's a huge problem.
Well, thank you for the honesty, Kamala.
Do you have plans to visit the border?
Not today. But I have before, and I'm sure I will again.
Well, now they've moved your office there, so...
So now whatever happens with the border is Kamala's problem. So that seems good for her. I don't know. All I can think is Biden must really not want her to win in 2024. Because... Well,
yeah, we'll see. I mean, who knows? You never know if his camp is getting along with her camp and what's going on behind the scenes. I can tell you that that more mainstream progressive media people have had enough. They're now taking it personally that the administration is blocking them out from access to any of these facilities, which is, I think they had better access under Trump. But Kate Baldwin for CNN, who we called affectionately at Herald Radio Sharp Hair because her hair is cut so it looks like it could actually inflict an injury. It's so sharp the way it's cut. Kate Baldwin, add her to the list of folks in the media who have had enough.
Not seeing the real video inside these border facilities because it's not really being released by the administration. The administration is now going to be allowing a camera to join them when they visit an HHS facility today, though this is not the overcrowded border facilities that we're talking about that we've seen video that's had to have been leaked out about to show. And I mean, this is pretty hypocritical that they haven't let reporters in as they pledge transparency. The COVID hiding behind, I'll say, this is my personal opinion, hiding behind COVID restrictions I don't think is fair, and I don't think is honest when they've pledged transparency. We know that we can get into these facilities, we can cover people with, in the midst of COVID, we have been.
Ooh, the Biden administration saying a banana is an apple, Alice, and CNN has had enough of this. So, who was the other guy who went nuts? It was Joe Scarborough was speaking to DeFrancesco Soto about this, and she is a pundit in the know, I guess, or I don't know what she is. Anyway, and it was a administration hate fest today.
I would institute a Marshall Plan for Central America. We need economic aid, but targeted economic aid, just as it was in Europe after the war. It's not.
I may have set this up incorrectly. DeFrancesco Soto's, yesterday Scarborough burned them.
Yeah.
DeFrancesco Soto simply wants us to fix Central and South America.
Not just throwing cash at a problem. It's working with these governments.
Streetlights.
It's working with the nonprofits and the other non-governmental institutions to stabilize. It also has to do with climate change. That's a long-term issue.
Wrap.
But we know
That's
that in Guatemala in particular, the droughts of the last several years have pushed out the coffee farmers, the peasant farmers, and quite frankly, food insecurity is one of the big reasons. So if it were up to me, Joe, a Marshall Plan.
Didn't have droughts until there was global climate change.
Well, like I said, that's why we have a $3 trillion plan coming up, where if we just build enough electric car charging stations, then people...
Then the droughts will go away.
Right, and people in
and
Guatemala
the coffee can be back.
Stay in Guatemala.
By the way, I need to talk to you about something else. I'm going to stop playing this because I'm angry at her.
You don't think climate change is causing the border crisis?
No. No. I would say...
You don't think we've used too much gasoline and that's why...
You know what's causing it, Alice?
What's causing
Racism.
Oh.
There you go.
Why do they want to come to a racist country, though?
Because it was racism that pillaged their lands to begin with.
Mm.
When the white man came from Spain and...
Aren't a lot of them related to the people that came from Spain in those countries?
That's racism. You know, that shows that it's now been institutionalized.
Oh.
Correct. It's just racism. And it's just climate change. It also can be hate. These are not words to be debated, Alice, or drilled down on.
Okay.
You know, it just is. So I was in the market basket today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me go back a few days ago. Okay. A lot of this has to do the area I go to is very Central America centric, and I was looking for habaneros a few days ago. You know, the hot ones I get. They're either.
Is this the second Haverhill Market Basket?
This is my primary one.
Okay.
That I go to. So I was looking for. There's habaneros from Guatemala, and there's actually these very hot chili peppers, which actually may be from Chile, no relation.
Okay. And
so this week they had neither of those. And usually, if they don't have either one, sometimes they do. If they don't have either one, sometimes then they'll have the cutely packaged. They call them hotties, a little packaged prefab of hot peppers or whatever. Mm-hmm. So first this week, they don't have the really good ones from Central and South America. Those are gone. Climate change. And then today, they don't have the hotties. And now there's no hot section at all. It's just gone.
Wow.
Now, this is a market basket up here in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Market basket is a very important place. It's a barometer of sorts of other things. Also, listen to me in this. Today, every deli meat except for salami was gone.
Wow.
What is going on? What's that an indicator of? You're the one with the economics degree. You lorded it over me in the first few minutes.
I don't know.
If there's got to be something going on here that entire categories of foods are missing. The supply chain is suffering somewhere under...
The supply chain has been and still continues to be disrupted. I mean, since the beginning of the pandemic, it's just different things at different times. You know, for a while it was toilet paper. Then, like, more recently it was paper towels were the problem. You know, it's back and forth, and it's going to continue to be back and forth and weird until stuff has been back to normal, probably for a year or two, I would think.
Well, there's certainly a deficiency in some of my staples, Alice. Just as there's a deficiency for President Biden of oxygen.
When we work together, we can do big things, important things, necessary things. We saw it 11 years ago with the Affordable Care Act. We saw it 11 days ago when we marked the signing of the American Rescue Plan. But we're not done yet. Last week, we met my goal that I announced of administering 100 million shots in my first 100 days in office. At the time...
He's obviously having trouble breathing.
Maybe he shouldn't be wearing masks while talking.
Right.
Since he's vaccinated.
Yes, since he can't get to... Maybe the time for make-believe has passed.
Get the man some air into his lungs because it does not sound good. I don't like that.
No, I don't either. I don't either. When's the last time you smoked weed, Alice? If you're going to get a White House job, this is going to be
I couldn't
important.
tell you.
You couldn't? You won't tell me, or you couldn't?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Have we ever smoked marijuana together?
No. One time you did, and you threw up in the yard.
That's right. I was with your an unnamed sibling of yours who corrupted me. That's right. And I threw up in my own yard during my own party. I was very impressive.
Classy.
Yes.
Great. I didn't. I haven't, as an adult in my adult life, really, ever.
My goodness. Well, a reporter asked Jen Psaki, hey, what about all those pot smokers in the White House that you fired? It seems kind of cold.
Sure. So Vice President Kamala Harris says that she is a past marijuana smoker. She said, quote, it gives people joy, and we need more joy in this world.
Thank you again, Kamala.
A clear majority of the U.S. population in supporting marijuana legalization. According to polls, 2/3 of people do, including about half of Republicans. Yet last week, the Daily Beast reported that there were dozens of White House staffers who were either disciplined or terminated from their jobs for past marijuana use. You seem to confirm 5 terminations on Twitter. And my question is, why would President Biden allow this to happen, especially considering the White House staff were led to believe that pot use would not be disqualifying, and especially considering the Vice President is herself a former marijuana user?
Well, let me first say that what we tried to do as an administration was work with the security service, who actually makes these determinations about suitability for serving in government. In the past, and I served in the Obama-Biden administration, the rules were actually far more stringent. So that isn't about anyone's personal point of view. It's about working through the process, the history, and modernizing it and taking steps to address the fact that marijuana is legal in a number of states across the country. It is still illegal federally, right? We know that. There were, as I noted, I think in our comment last week, 5 individuals who are no longer employed at the White House. A number of them, there were other security issues that were raised. And, that's an unfortunate conclusion, of course, but what we tried to do is enable additional members of the team who would not have been able to continue serving in past administrations to continue serving by updating our policy in coordination with the security service.
Follow up on that. Surely President Biden could, implement changes here unilaterally and just say that these people can come to work for him.
Well, I think if marijuana was federally legal, that might be a different circumstance. But I don't think I have any more for this on you. For you. Go ahead.
So stop asking. I actually don't really. I mean, the administration misled them all and then whacked him, which was crappy. Other than that, what are you gonna do? They learn to lie on the application, okay, people?
Right.
Don't tell the truth during interviews. This is Tom Shattuck's professional consultation services for you. Lie in the interview, lie in your application, forge documents if you have to. The way to get the job is to get the job. You can have a chat with Jesus when you die about what you did to get it. But what? What's wrong with that?
Don't take this man's advice, anyone, please.
Of course, I don't have a job currently. But if I did, damn it. Oh, wait, that's right. That does not include...
This is like the Varsity Blues parents.
That does not include me to future applicants when I try to get a job, by the way. That doesn't... I, of course, am not talking about me. My application will be truthful and ethical, I assure you. But to lesser... moral people, Alice. Yes, that's what you should do.
This story is interesting to me because of what you mentioned, that these people were apparently told that the marijuana wouldn't be a problem, and then it was. And my guess is that what's going on is that other people in the Biden administration told applicants that it wouldn't be a problem, and then the president is actually able to override what the security people do. That's why Trump was able to get Kushner the security clearances that he probably wouldn't have qualified for and whatever. But
in most corporations as well, or
but I think Biden just wasn't on the same page about this. I don't think Biden is a fan of people smoking pot.
No, it was the devil's lettuce when he was a kid.
And I think that, and his sons obviously had problems with drugs. I don't think he wants it around. I think he doesn't like it probably. I think probably other people in the administration were like, no, we're the cool hip administration, and that's not disqualifying. Sure, it's okay if you've smoked pot. And, and then it came time when they needed somebody to override the security people saying these people have smoked pot, we don't want them on your team. And Biden could have overridden them and didn't because he didn't care to,
Yeah.
Because he's ultimately that's one of those things where the president really does have a lot of power over who in his offices gets security clearances. So, he had the choice to make sure those people could stay, and he didn't.
Maybe it's also a way to keep people, I don't mean to be cynical, but to keep people on the campaign.
Right.
And supporting him, at maybe even gratis for a long time with the idea that they'll get a job in the future. But then, hey, I was going to hire you, but our employment, branch said you can't because you screwed the pot question. Sorry about that. Been fun. Sorry, TJ. Maybe next time. But yeah. So I've worked for companies where the indiscretion is the boss as well. They'll say the guy took a drug test. He came up positive. What do you want to do? And if you like the guy, you just say fine. Who cares? As if it's pervasive. Alice, weed is pervasive. So, by the way, do you think pot should be legal?
I have mixed feelings. I mean, I don't think it does society really any favors to throw people in jail for that necessarily. But, well, put it this way. I don't like criminalizing it and throwing people in jail for it and all that stuff, but I also think it's a really toxic force in the lives of the people who use it regularly. And I don't buy that it's a health thing. I don't buy that it's, fun recreational enjoyment without any negative ramifications on your life.
Yeah, and we'll find out those ramifications now since private businesses are making a killing
right.
on this stuff, and so they're going to be a bigger target for all sorts of.
I mean, I think it's a bad thing for society that it's.
Well, I mean, you can tell if somebody's a stoner. They cannot really. Mostly, there are some people who just can fire up before work and have been doing it for 35 years, and you can't even tell. But a stoner is not getting away. I mean, a true stoner, when you have a gravelly burnt out and like having trouble, if you've been a chum gang level smoking weed for a long time, then everybody can tell. You don't really want that person employed under you. You don't want that trust that person with stuff.
I guess too, it depends, what you're trying to do in your life. If you're,
well, if you're looking for a bassist, I think it's recommended.
Right. But yeah, I mean, if you're just like, it depends what kind of job you're looking for and what kind of life you want. But I don't think that it's great for society if a ton of people are high all the time. I just don't think it's good. So. So that's me. I'm mean, but
well,
I guess I don't think it should be illegal, but I mean, politics is downstream of culture. It's one of those things that like, I think the horse has kind of left the barn. And so it's kind of stupid that we're trying to like criminalize it now, but
yeah,
I don't think it's great.
Yeah. I mean, if you are prone to being a loser, it will help you be a loser.
Yeah.
All right, so the people who are pro-weed, by the way, other libertarians, have been forever. Pro all sorts of freedoms. They also are pro-freedom from government because they think government is a pernicious and dangerous institution in many ways. One of our favorite libertarians is a fellow named John Stossel. And Stossel has a show now. I don't even know where to find it. Maybe it's just online. Where he does these little, I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay.
Where he does these, packages about whatever government, botching something in whatever way, and he's got these, and he's got one about the COVID, about the handling of COVID in the government, and I thought it was fantastic, Really good. Once again, I'll put it in the show notes. Try to remember me if you can.
Okay.
But here's just a taste of it, first minute or so.
Frustrations are mounting.
There's so much confusion and delays in the vaccine rollout.
Lines grew even longer today, winding through parking lots and side streets.
One reason shots are scarce is that our government decided to prioritize second doses.
Only those with appointments for a second dose will be able to go through here.
But why? When
cases begin leveling off after one dose. 90.5% effective after the first dose.
The first dose is already incredibly effective.
Alex Tabarrok is one of the people asking, why not just give one dose to more people?
We have given out more than 20 million second doses. Those could have been first doses.
Had they been, 50% more people would have been vaccinated by now.
The transmission rate would have been pushed down.
Why would we believe you rather than these specialist doctors?
The physicians, they're not necessarily thinking about the person who is not their patient. But for an economist, you got to be thinking about everybody.
Tabarrok helped persuade the British government to delay second doses.
The new government strategy aims to get more people a first dose faster.
And they've succeeded. Twice as many people in the UK have received a vaccine. And although COVID there was worse than in America, now British COVID cases have dropped below America's.
What we must go with is the scientific data that we've accumulated.
American officials won't adjust our vaccine regimen without doing all the government's required studies.
You want to really study it to see that the amount of time that it will take, we will already be in the arena of having enough vaccines to go around anyway.
So why not skip some of those studies?
When you have a tiger chasing you in the forest, you don't want to run a randomized controlled trial. Should I run left or should I run right? You have to act decisively and you have to act quickly. And the bureaucrats are just not used to doing that.
We're going to take a 10-minute break now.
You can do both. You can get as many people in their first dose at the same time as adhering within reason to the timetable of the second dose.
But you can't do both.
No, we can't do both. We have to take into account scarcity. This is what economists are good at, thinking about scarcity and thinking about trade-offs.
America's bureaucratic medical approval process discourages that. As a result,
they've been too slow. The FDA did not allow private companies to start testing.
Which meant that for weeks,
labs sat idle.
They acted more quickly than they usually do.
Yes. Yeah, not fast enough.
So there you go. How cool is that? Remind me, put that in the show notes, Alice. And just a classic.
Who is it who's on with him in that?
I forgot the name. He said it like a Ginsky or whatever.
Okay.
It's not nobody I knew beforehand. But I'm just seeing this. Okay, Tom. We're going there, Alice. It's International Women's Month. International Women with an X month.
Mm-hmm. And today is Equal Pay Day.
Uh-oh. So Megan Rapinoe was
Do you know what Equal Pay Day is?
No.
Equal Pay Day is, according to
whoever,
I
see.
This
if
is
women
the day,
started getting paid
right.
now, okay.
If on January 2020, a man and a woman started working at the same job, today is the day when the woman would have to work until to earn what the man earned in the first year.
Okay, so Megan Rapinoe, the U.S. women's soccer player, who was part of the soccer team who was like really bad sports a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And what she, I assume, just kept saying Trump sucked and was raising her fist. What was her claim to fame? Other than she was just
I don't know. The women's soccer
obnoxious?
team complained they weren't getting paid as much as the men. And apparently more people do watch women's soccer than men's soccer, I guess. But in the U.S., which isn't saying much because not that many people watch soccer to start with in the
So
US,
she went to the White House today, and what do you do if you're a good, woke, progressive in 2020? You claim victimhood.
LGBTQ community.
Oh, sorry, Megan. I don't want to chop that off.
LGBTQ community with pink hair. And where I come from, I could have only dreamed that I would be standing in the position I am today at the White House. I'm also a professional athlete, and I've helped, along with all of my teammates virtually here today, one teammate literally here today, win 4 World Cup championships and 4 Olympic gold medals for the United States. And despite those wins, I've been devalued, I've been disrespected, and dismissed because I am a woman. And I've been told that I don't deserve any more than less because I am a woman. You see...
Did anybody say that to her? You see, Megan, because you're a woman, you've got little value. Because you're a woman, you don't deserve any more money. We're going to pay you less because of your gender.
Despite all the wins, I'm still paid less than men who do the...
Despite all the wins and everything I've done for you, maybe you're devalued a little bit because you're a jerk.
Same job that I do.
Wait, she said, I'm going to rewind on that a little bit.
All the wins.
Despite all the wins.
I'm still paid less than men who do the same job that I do.
They don't do the same job that you do, Megan. I'm sorry. They do a job that you could never do because they're far better at doing it than you are. And they draw more money. They create more wealth. They create a bigger spectacle around the globe than you do. Because although it can be fun and cute to see, the American women's soccer team being bad sports, in victory against other teams, it's better to see the men's team because they are far superior athletes and better soccer is happening there. And with the men's team, there's no excuse for not being the highest paid one. You don't get to go to the White House.
Well, the way women's sports is going soon, maybe they will be just as good as the men's
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Yes, pretty soon Rick Rapinoe is going to have your job, doing the very same job you do, Megan. And you won't have to worry about being devalued anymore because you will be teamless and sportless.
For each trophy, of which there are many, and for each win, for each tie, and for each time that we play, it's less.
God. How about less complaining, more being gooder at kicking ball?
And I know there are millions of people who are marginalized by gender in the world and experience the same thing in their jobs. And I know that there are people who experience even more, where the layers of discrimination continue to stack against them. And I and my teammates are here for them. We on the U.S. women's national team today are here because of them.
Oh, God. Ask for more money. Or go into a field that's less comfortable and more dangerous. There is a disparity between when men get paid and women get paid. It's far less than anybody's saying. It's probably a couple of cents, whatever that is. But it doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
You can go into a tougher field. If you work in an oil rig, along with the men, and women suddenly surge out of wherever they are now and into oil rigs, they'll get lots of money. And there are other fields where women do better than men, including, I think, nursing and some others in the field, get paid higher than men. But
I know there's more women lawyers.
Right. No, I do think that and I am happy to report that in a fairly recent hire, when I offered a job to a young woman with very little experience, she came back and asked for more money. And I thought that was good. And she got a little bit more money. And that's something that I think probably, and just in my own interactions, I think that is something that Western males are taught to get after it when it comes to money. And hold out for more.
Or like what you said, lie in your interview, lie on your resume. Women generally don't do that as often as men do.
No.
And I'm always astonished by how much I see men just winging it, like when they don't know how to do stuff. They just fake it till they make it. And women tend to be a lot more realistic about what
I find the same thing a lot of times is that
they're not liars.
Women a lot of times want to do the right thing. Men will just do the thing. And I'm not telling people to be terrible, but
you did.
It's a shark eat shark, dog eat dog kind of. Many fields are anyway. You do what you need to do. I think women also. I mean, it's a long conversation, and I'm glad that people who I used to work with and employ, that women were asking for money. That's good. It's good. Yeah. You should be doing that, regardless. And even me, who was, generally in when I've been a manager, I'm told from above me, there's no more money. Generally, when I go to them and I tell the prospective employee, there's no more money, and they say they really want me to ask, when I've asked, suddenly there's more money. So get out there and get after it. I mean, I think there's going to be a pay gap with this White House as well. The men probably will get paid more.
Right.
I don't think it'll always be like that. And I just think that but I don't think it'll always be like that, but it's not going to always be like that because of legislation and the Lilly Ledbetter Act or anything like that. It's going to change because I think women are absolutely capable of being more valuable employees than the men are. And people will want to pay them.
Well, and I think with the rise of automation, a lot of jobs that have driven, as you said, like there are very specific jobs that tend to drive the gender pay gap. It tends to be these jobs that men take on that women don't want for whatever reason, either because they're really dangerous or they have to be away from home a lot. And a lot of those jobs are the same jobs that you see at risk of going away because of automation, the same as you saw many, auto factory jobs go away as there was more automation in factories. The same as you're seeing more mining jobs go away as those industries have competition from other parts of the energy sector, for example, right? So those jobs, like truck driver jobs, I don't think are going to be around forever because there are so many companies working on self-driving cars right now. A lot of those are jobs that are jobs that are primarily done by men, and the more because the jobs that tend to be heavy duty physical labor are at risk for automation, and those do tend to be jobs that are more done by men. So I think in particular, as you see that sort of shift happen in the economy, you're going to have more and more women doing very well. Women already do better than men in high school graduations, do better in college. A lot of these type of intellectual jobs are, designed for women's skill sets. And I think that you're going to continue to see that shift happen I think we're going to reach a point where women are making more than men in this economy in the next probably 10, 15 years.
Yes, and for some age demographics, women do make more than men. I think 30 and under or so. It's a bit of an ancillary issue, but women don't have a Me Too problem. And there is a monetary cost to that. And a cost to having to re-educate all the pig men in the company again and again. Retain.
I mean, occasionally you have the Congresswoman Katie Hill.
Right, occasionally, but by
it's
far,
rarer,
it's certainly rarer. Yeah. I mean, I think women may. I don't know if this is true, but it's possible that their general health care regimen might be more expensive. Maybe.
Their health care is probably more expensive. Certainly, they take more paid parental leave.
Right.
Generally speaking, which is expensive for companies. But that's going to become less costly too.
But that's a lifestyle choice that they're making. That's not as
but it's expensive for companies because they have to hold the job, and especially now, for example, in Massachusetts, there's mandatory paid family leave, so companies have to pay for family leave. But I think also there's a move towards the government taking on more of those costs as well, which we're going to see. As they take the burden off of the companies for the government to pay that. More so, you're going to see more. That's not going to become as big a factor for companies. Also, fewer women are having kids now. The birth rate is dropping in this country. So,
which may change as soon as you start getting fat checks for having more kids.
Well, yeah, they are trying to do that. So, but I don't know. A lot of factors. We'll see what happens.
Alice, you know that I love you, right?
Yes.
And I just even before the show tonight was. Complimenting you on being a good reader.
Yes.
And reading to the kids. I'm going to need you to read something for me. Okay. If you don't mind reading something for me.
Why do I feel like I'm being set up?
No, this is from an elected person. Else, this is not. I just need you to read for me the tweet from the mayor of Charlottesville.
Oh, yes. This is poetry, actually. Did you know that?
The one on top, Alice, the original tweet.
Yes, that's a poem that she wrote.
Is it really a poem?
That's a poem that she wrote.
That's a nice and classy poem. Go ahead and read that poem, Alice. Let's see. Sweet, innocent.
Okay.
Alice Shattuck. Go ahead.
Mayor Nakuya Walker of
Yes.
Charlottesville wrote this poem about her city that
Yes.
she is mayor of.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Charlottesville, the beautiful, ugly it is. It rapes you.
Pardon me?
It rapes you.
What?
Comforts you in its cum-stained sheet.
What the what else? What the freak just happened?
And tells you to keep its secrets.
Did you just do this? Alice,
that's what the mayor of Charlottesville
you two
wrote.
can hear things, Alice. That is horrible.
It's poetry. Sometimes poetry is edgy, honey. You have to.
Alice Dice Clay? I can't. Poetry is. You just said those words. I have never heard you say those words like that.
I'm reading poetry.
All right. Well, I'm gonna bleep out some of the blue language you used.
Okay.
Wow. You think you know a woman after all these years?
Mm-hmm. So apparently, then her poem was reported to Facebook.
I don't see why.
I have no clue why.
Was it the bleep stained sheets or the rape?
So she made a modified version. Charlottesville, the beautiful, ugly it is. It lynched you, hung the noose at City Hall, and pressed the souvenir that was once your
good. Rated
finger
PG now.
against its lips. It covers your death with its good intentions. It is a place where white women with black kids collect signatures for a white man who questions whether a black woman understands white supremacy. It is destructively world class.
By the way, she starts this with, "Is this better?" I'm asking the person who reported my short poem to Facebook, the one with the sheets and the rape. This is an elected mayor. You don't have to read anything more else. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, so they had gentrification. There suffocates their hopes and dreams.
Okay, you get it. Okay.
Etc. Oakland, the mayor of Oakland is also.
Oh, are there
in
sheets
the
in
news.
this one too?
There's no sheets in this one. She did not write poetry. But she announced.
What is YouTube gonna do to this video now that you went there? That is not safe for work.
Okay. Okay. The mayor of Oakland, California, on Tuesday announced a privately funded program that
You
will
give $500 to every black person, which to me seems like an unconstitutional.
It seems odd,
if not random, arbitrary. It's a reparation of sorts. So he's crazy, but at least he doesn't have rape poems. Okay.
She.
All right.
They're saying it's inspired by the Black Panther Party.
Good. That's great. Okay. What else we got? Are you all done?
This is.
I have to start cleaning up and sending off apology letters to people.
I have a very upsetting story. Tom was
no seal,
tearing up.
not the seal.
No seal.
No seal. A dog killed a seal. That's it. Go ahead.
Why do you hate my stories?
I don't hate the story, but I saw the pictures. I know you're a sick person who likes to torture and kill animals. I've seen it myself.
That's not true.
And you enjoy the dog killing the seal.
No, that is slander. I did not enjoy it. I enjoyed the reaction of the woman, but I don't know. Guys, look up Freddie Mercury the seal if you want to hear about the seal.
You can see his bloodied carcass right before they had to give him a bullet in his seal head because some rich lawyer's dog mauled him. This is the kind of thing. This is one of my wife's fetishes, by the way, for those of you who are inspired by her poem.
This is very slanderous today, and I'm gonna complain to Burn Barrel HR about this because this is really inappropriate. I have been set up in multiple ways today.
I can't believe you said those words. Oh my goodness. Okay, so you done, or we
you asked me to read the poem, and you always tell me I can't have hang-ups on the show. So.
I didn't think you'd do it. It's like my friend Jay in 1997. He and I was not doing well with the ladies, and he said, if you, Tom, hook up with a woman before this year is over, I will go out with you in a dress. And somehow I hooked up. And I said, Jay, all right, you have to go out with me in a dress. And he said, no way. And I said, what do you mean, no way? We had a deal. He said, yeah, but there was no way I ever thought it would happen. So there you go. There's no way I ever thought it would happen, Alice. Just
You're the dog that caught the car.
dog that caught the seal, Alice. The bloodied seal. I'll make sure I add a link to that, too, so we can have your sex story and the seal.
So you can find those things all in the show notes. Other than that, you can reach out to us on Twitter at BurnBarrelPod or on Facebook.com/BurnBarrelPodcast. You can send us an email. That's burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can, I forget, where else can they find us? YouTube. YouTube or Tom Shattuck's Burn Barrel on there. So like his videos and subscribe and all that.